Alright, so let's tap in and talk about why religion is actually a very fucking subjective experience. But check this out. We can all agree upon a logical framework of an objective experience, so we can all go into that golem of reality, which is usually a religion that's created by a Mason, that's created by some kind of Jew, especially if you're inside of the Abrahamic three, which is, the biggest three religions and shit like that they used to kind of like get a lot of people inside of. And when you're inside of these religions, you're constantly giving energy to something that's not even giving energy back to you. Look at it this way, right? You can go work a job and you can spend money, you can save your money to retire, or your company can match the money you're putting in for your savings or whatever retirement plan that you got going on. But a lot of the times, the energy that we be giving up don't be matching the return, and we just be settling for these things based on us not believing in ourselves, believing that we don't have charismatic gifts, believing that we ain't shit, that we need something external outside of us to help us. And the only way for this thing to come to help us is through another man's mind. So this would be Jesus Christ. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Jesus Christ. What I'm saying is understand the message, the allegory behind the Bible. Not necessarily getting lost in the word babble and the logic. A lot of people think they need Muhammad, the way Muhammad minds works. Muslims wake up, they eat exactly how Muhammad eats. We eat olives, do the fast, because that's how Muhammad did it. That's how we're going to do it. You got to understand that we can all fast, we can all get healthy, but that's going to be subjective to all of us. Sure, there's objective things we could do, like fasting, maybe doing fruit fast, doing vegetable fast. Now, all that's awesome, all that's great, but a lot of the times there's other ways to get there that other humans didn't necessarily get to, but we may just limit our experience based on what someone else developed just because of how big it is. And, based on our grandmothers and our mom and dad and their generation before them being into it, we may assume automatically that this is the thing that we should do. So we are kind of seen as okay in the world. Because, for someone like me, and you're learning about spirituality, you're learning about your own individuality, you're learning about, the witchcraft behind these religions and stuff like that, you're not going to be seen as someone that people are going to want to hang out with and shit like that. Not like as in that matters and shit, but because you got to understand, a lot of these people that started these religions, a lot of them were fucking hated, despised, blah, 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 because they started their own framework that was against the framework of that time. So when you start your own framework, a lot of the times the current framework, which is Saturn, the system that's already there, it's not going to like that, right? So even when Muhammad started preaching his word, the people in his tribe didn't fucking like it, but he still managed to take it over. Now all that's to say that, hey, we can all come up with our own frameworks, and let's not get lost in someone else's framework. So now, religion is basically a subjective experience, because look, we can all, for example, you can get into worshiping Jesus, Muhammad, Allah, right? But however you're talking about experiencing that deity or experiencing that God coming to you and giving you a thought or giving you a feeling or whatever it is it's giving you, or you're talking about how it came through this book, when you're trying to interpret these things through your own subjectivity, you're always going to see these things or experience these things from your own way, right? So let's say, for example, you have a very imaginative mind. You might read the Bible. That's me, for example. I'll read the Bible or anything like that. I want to start imagining the pictures behind these things, organize these things like a puzzle, symbolisms and stuff like that, because that's actually how my mind works naturally. My own subjectivity and shit, like me being a Pisces moon, being an imaginative person and shit like that, right? A Christian, for example, right? I had a buddy. He was a Christian. He was a Protestant and shit like that, right? Now, he was a Cancer. So now Cancers have two attributes in their chart and shit like that. They got, not in their chart, in their actual sign. They got the moon, then they got Jupiter. So they like to initiate their feelings. So they have to do with their heart chakra. So they like to wear their feelings on their heart. But most importantly, those that got Jupiter, they think that these emotions have meanings and reasonings and broad philosophical point of views behind them. So this nigga literally was thinking that Jesus was giving him these feelings for him to do, because a lot of religious people don't understand that the only reason they're in these denominations and they're praying for something outside of them to come to them and help them in their circumstances, whether, because a lot of these religious people just be narcs at the end of the day, right? Whether it's something to help you get, what I'm saying? It's just like getting more for yourself, like kind of trying to destroy someone else. Because a lot of Christians be trying to destroy other people, hurt other people, like weird shit. Because it's just crazy. So a lot of these, a motherfucker like that, for example, would be a motherfucker who's like possessed and shit like that, because they can't actually look at their feelings clearly, they think that their feelings are actually being inspired by their God, by their Jesus, and they gotta actually go put these feelings on other people and lash these things out because that's how because they feel like, oh, I prayed to God, so now if I'm getting this feeling in this situation, that must mean this is God steering me this way. But at the same time, though, you gotta understand that no, this is just your own fucked up emotions. This is your own flunked out emotions, right? And you gotta learn how to deal with these things better. That's not what God gave you. Like a lot of the times, like religious people make up justifications around why they feel the way they feel and why everyone around them need to feel or think the same way they think and feel, and if they don't, they're going to hellfire and they're going to burn in fire. But that's the thing. You're inside of that world. Otherwise, you wouldn't be telling anyone else that. If you're telling someone they're going to go to hell, if you're telling someone they're not good enough, if you're telling someone like some next, it could be a logical observation based on you just having a higher angle. But a lot of the times when you're dealing with these religious people, it just be something that's with their demonic natures or their limited point of views and things like that. They're trying to put on other people and shit like that. But their whole religious experience, you can have an objective framework, but how you're gonna experience that objective framework is gonna be up to your own subjectivity and shit like that, right? So, for example, like it's crazy, man. It's fucking crazy because let's say Islam, for example, has no pictures, no visuals, which is just the planetary energy of Neptune, the right things to do with the right brain energy and stuff like that, right? And it's just this very logical framework, and you could read because it's just a way of communicating a message. It's just a way of communicating allegories and parables so you can learn how to deal with your lower natures and stuff like that, right? But a lot of people get lost in that framework and don't understand how that framework is made off of. So Islam, way too left brain, practice discipline but without faith. So they constantly pray, discipline, but they don't actually have faith in what they do. They think other people need to practice these same disciplines. Now that makes them very hard workers. That makes them very structured people mentally, very disciplined, like, you know what I'm saying? But it makes them also lack the right brain emotional intelligence. Christians, on the other hand, they got visuals, pictures of Jesus. So if you're actually like a very imaginative person like me, you might literally see that Jesus Christ fucking picture, you know what I'm saying? And you can literally go to your sleep and imagine that Jesus Christ came to you. But you gotta understand that that's a form of information that you're taking in. Because if you wasn't in that church, if you wasn't in that mosque, if you wasn't in that religion in the first place, you would have never received that input for you to have that as some form of output. Because the mind is very impressionable at a young age. The mind is very programmable. So if I give you some form of program software, no matter what that program software is, because look, once you really get into it, the Abrahamic three religions, there was shit beyond that existed way before that. So you're telling me your God took all this time to deliver a message, but he did it only at this time. But you get a bunch of years behind that, 100 of years behind that, a calendar hidden way behind the calendar we have today. But you're trying to tell me that, oh, this is God. No, this is a man's mind. This is someone's observations that they're communicating to you. Since Islam and Christianity is both based upon the Hebrew text and shit like that, which is just the oral tradition, the Dead Sea Scrolls, whatever you want to call it, Muslims and Christians, North Africa, Saudi Arabian Peninsula, and shit like that. You can say Moors, whatever you want to say, Europe and shit like that, Rome, blah, 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 the Catholic Church, they was fighting over the interpretation of these things because they both took the information out of the Hebrew text and shit like that, but they both put their own spin on it and shit like that. Because you gotta understand, and we all being divinely inspired, if you're not stuck in these logical frameworks, if you don't got a firmament over your head, some limited way about approaching life, you think like, oh, God can only come to you if you're like, I don't know, fucking astronomer, or you think God only can come to you if you're an astrologer, or you think like, oh, God can only come to you if you're like a Christian or a Muslim or whatever. But you need to understand, that ain't God coming to you. That's a man coming to you. That's you accepting another man's way of thinking based on lacking discipline in your life. So it's just like we take other people's ideas and live our life through them. Like you can go watch a movie right now. You can take an idea from a movie and you can go live that idea in your life. But why was that? because you've allowed your mind to take in that information. The information could be an emotional nature. You could be watching the news, for example. There could have been a fear program, a propaganda program, and shit like that. And you can take in that fear mongering, that fear energy. And now that you resonate with this fear energy, you might speak like you're scared. You might like just do shit out of being scared, because now that's the energy that you hold within, right? Or stress-wise, right? You can be at a job that gives you a lot of stress, so you might come off as very stressed out to people, very nervous and shit like that, very nerve-wracking. But you gotta understand that all these things are just energies that we take in and shit like that, right? So if you don't take that, because look, when you was born, they didn't know God had to tell you, hey, suck on your mama's titty. That was a program running in our biology, because the body naturally want to sustain itself and shit, to be alive. That's why the Bible tell you that the flesh was against the spirit and the spirit was against the flesh. Not for people to take that and say, oh, that means the Bible is right. No, you have to understand the observation of the life mechanism that we're all, unitedly observing, that we're making allegories based upon for us to even make these religious systems, for us to even make these religious firmaments right now. Because right now, you're having your own subjective experience about life. You could be a very logical person. You could be a very right-brain person. Or you can come in between and be a very balanced person and shit like that. But a lot of the times, that don't be a lot of the people living on this realm. Because a lot of people just be lost in these programs that are pre-made for them as templates for their spirit to play out as, and just continue living out the non-player character program and shit like that. Because you got to become your own character by developing yourself, by going through experiences so you can see where you're falling short and just actually creating a purpose for yourself, right? Because a lot of the times we may not have sufficient communication to get the message across. A lot of the times, sometimes our feelings might be a little too dry. But look, none of these things is problems. It's just about knowing yourself. And when you know yourself better, you're able to put yourself in, deal with these forms that we go in and out of as emotions, visions, forms of communication, ways of practicalizing. You could be, and that's what we're talking about religion, right? Because a lot of people is stuck in the earth element. They're stuck in the practicalization of these things. You're looking at the last stage of how these things even came about. Before that, you got fire, what science called the Big Bang, but even that is just a line of event. Bitch, when your dad nutted in your mom and your mom got pregnant, bitch, when your dad nutted in your mom, that's a line of events. That lasted for some time. When your mama got pregnant, that was a line of events. You took 9 months to get born and shit like that. And then when you got born, you're living out a line of events again. So the universe is about a series of a line of events connecting and shit like that, so we can build this life, because life is just a big ass web and shit like that. So not for people to get lost in parts of this web and be like, yeah, this part of the web is more important, this part of the web is more important. Yeah, no, I like this part of the web, but I don't like this part of the web. To the point that people come up with like shit like women want to be feminist, men want to be red pill and all that types of shit. Like, people is getting lost in parts of the web. Like, if you saying you with God, you're supposed to observe these things from a holistic perspective, not get lost in a part of the web. So it's like, that don't even make any sense, right? So the moment we can start to get out of these religions, understanding that, hey, these objective forms, these practicalizations from fire, which is the vision, the inspiration, the expression we want to give something, how we want to feel about it, how do you feel about it, how do you personally connect that to other people and shit like that, right? How you, in the container you put that in and shit like that, as far as a feeling, which could be negative or positive. All these elementals could be negative or positive as far as forms that we go in and out of. And then the air, the logic, how are you going to communicate that so you can actually build communities, so you can actually build relationships, so you can actually share that amongst your environment of friends and shit like that. So then you can come to the practical conclusions about what these things are going to look like, to the point that these things become a mosque, these things become a church. But a lot of the modern day Muslims, a lot of the modern day Christians don't understand that their religious structures that they go to is literally based upon an astrological perspective of the heavens and the earth. Why do you think they talk about these things in the Bible, the heavens and the earth? Bitch, did your book write about the heavens and the earth first, or was the heavens and the earth already there for us to even write about these things and observe these things and put these things in an oral tradition? So if you're telling me that the word came before the space, motherfucker, you tripping. You must be lost. You must not know what you're talking about, because the space was here before the word, motherfucker. It don't go no further than that. So what you gonna say? What you gonna say next? When the galaxy was created, Allah, Buddha or whatever the fuck, he inserted that Quran in there. Yeah, when Allah created the earth, yeah, the Quran was right there on the floor. Someone just had to find it, because yeah, I'm God. Man, that's not how it works. First of all, it takes a human to even come up with a method of writing, for them to even take these things and jot them down and it takes even a language to come up with a linguistical form to actually talk about these things, if we want to communicate and share these things from a logical perspective over an overly left-brain nature and shit like that. And that's not bad or anything like that, but it's just that in modern day times we get lost in these things. So motherfucker, it's really simple. Your religion is a form of subjectivity, and you all came on agreed upon an objective form to fucking communicate these things. It ain't that God gave you these things. No, it's a man giving you these things based on understanding what's actually going on in life and shit like that. And the better I understand what's going on in life, the better I can make some terms and conditions, give that to you. If you agree to that shit, okay. It's kind of like the government right now. You can go to work, but you can get taxed more based on creating justifications of why you should get more. So even with the story of Muhammad doing shit like that, even when they went to war, whether that's the real Muhammad or not the right Muhammad, because supposedly like when you get into it, there's like a pale Arab Muhammad, and then there's a dark-skinned Muhammad, but I don't really want to get into that, because either one is just lostness, you know what I'm saying? We just want to understand the allegories behind these things, because when I look into it, you can see like certain East Africans claiming that they're from the lineage of Muhammad, certain whites claiming that they're from the lineage of Muhammad, certain Arabs pretending that they're from the lineage of Muhammad, and you can claim whatever you want. Check this out. We can go to court, make a claim, and if I can have the court in my pocket, I can have the linguistical terms more in my favor. So it truly don't matter, because words a lot of times are used to manipulate and lie to people and all types of shit. People don't be understanding what those things come from and shit like that. People don't relate those things as best as they can. People just get lost in these things. So don't be so lost in your religion, because I guarantee if you talk to your mother and father right now, they all having a subjective experience that's different than you, and ain't no way about that. So we all experience things differently. Spirit, no thing, come to everybody in different shapes, ways, and forms. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if we get too separated, like Uranus, we start rebelling with each other, or one person becomes too selfish, the sun, instead of being an individual about it, right? And some people become too open, too relatable to someone else's selfishness, then I can play out someone else's idea of the sun, right? Their ideal of what God is, by me being too relatable, too gullible and shit like that. Because you might not have your own space, your own vehicle, your own temple of God together, so you might be more susceptible to other people's forms of awareness. But the more you become spiritually strong, start developing muscles and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? It's like you become almost invincible in like the 4th, 5th, 6th dimension, which just basically means whatever it is that you love, value, and appreciate, whatever it is that you're building and shit like that, because we're all building stuff. You can build a Quran, you can build a Bible, that's something that you love. What if somebody convinced Muhammad, hey, don't build that Quran, that's negative, that's evil. Stay within the system, Saturn, that's already pre-built on that geographical location, Saudi Arabia, or, when you get into it, the Nile Valley, or whatever, because you gotta understand, it's an energy, and that energy, the starting point of that energy, that linguistical God, it comes from Kemet. It's not, and I'm not no black, whatever, Pan-African, I'm not none of that. I'm just interested in where are the starting points of these things coming from, because you gotta understand, it's a rulership. It's a fucking corporation. It's a company. And when I know how to take my corporation, when I know how to take my company and set that up in other geographical locations on other blocks, even if that corporation looks a little different, it's still based on the same practice, which is just extreme logic, extreme left brain shit, and shit like that. So you gotta understand, motherfuckers is setting up the corporations and shit like that, right? So, and of course, I'm gonna have to go to war with you and kill your ass if you're trying to come on my block as a drug dealer and shit. Because that's all it is. They're just giving you guys like coping mechanisms. Same way motherfuckers smoke weed, and there's nothing wrong with that. Same way motherfuckers do crack, and there's nothing wrong with that. Same way motherfuckers do cocaine, there's nothing wrong with that. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna reap what you sow, right? So if I come on your block and try to sell my shit, of course I'm gonna want to fuck you up. Unless we're gonna agree that, hey, you know what? You can have this, but I'm still gonna have this. So we can both come together as, higher thinking men and women, so we can run the resources on that land. And the resources back then were not just gold, silver. The resources start as mental thoughts and feelings that develop into talents and gifts and shit like that. And then it become like, scriptures, talents, abilities. You might be singing, you could be a good writer, you could be a good artist, you could be a good, whatever it is that you do. You could be a good, workout instructor. Motherfuckers might be having health problems. Back in the day, you might show them some real good yoga, some real good lemon on the tree and shit like that. Give them that. They're like, oh yeah, there's some good lemon. God must have showed them this tree. And the motherfucker, they're gonna be like, yeah, man, God showed me a vision and he said, yeah, go to that tree and grab a fruit. Yeah, you show it to the people. And the people might be so fucking dumb, they might just accept that shit and be like, oh yeah, he must be talking to God. But you're talking to something too. Spirit is communing with you too. Spirit commune with everybody. But big spirits that are not even in this world, like gods and goddesses, masculine and feminine aspects that we bring together to create like containers, as this container that we're in, as mind frames and shit like that, or just independent deities and shit like that do their own thing based on you potentially being like connected to them, like spirit group, soul tribe and shit like that. However you do things, right? You could be connected to them, but you might not even never connect to them just based upon the shit that you agree on, that you're trying to talk to objectively. Because they can't come to you. They trying to come to you. They can't even talk to you. Because you forgot your tongue. You forgot what was valid to you. You forgot what was important to you. You made your own subjectivity, like you gave that shit to them. You was like, yeah, I'm gonna see things that way. I'm not gonna worry about my own subjectivity. Yeah, fuck that. I don't need that. It's all about objectivity, brother. Praise Jesus. But that's the thing, man. It get really flunked out. And a lot of the times, like let's say for example, a motherfucker like Leonardo DiCaprio. That's an actor, man. Holy fuck. That's not what I'm talking about. That artist, man. I forgot his name. The motherfucker that added a lot of paintings to the church and shit like that and really beautified it, aka added the energy of Venus beauty appreciation and shit. It's not Michelangelo, it's someone else. But anyways, I think you get to what I'm saying. One of those old century Renaissance artists. They took their own mind, so you can have creativity. You can be really good with words and shit like that. Like a lot of these modern day imams, a lot of these modern day pastors, and you can literally give your, aka if you're good at talking, then you got some good air energy, you got some good logic energy and shit like that, right? So you can take that and you can give it to the mosque, you can give it to the your religious corporation, whatever it is, or your creativity, and you can build someone else's mansion, build someone else's slavery system, and think you're doing something for God, but you're really not doing something for God. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing. So I'm not saying that these things also are good or evil. I'm not telling you Islam is good or evil. I'm not telling you Christianity is good or evil. It's just what we do with these things. If these things are limiting people's minds from expansion, then that could become negative. Because you gotta understand that just like how Hinduism explains, there's kind of like a lot of ways to reach God. It's not just like one way. It's not just one logical framework. That's why a lot of y'all Muslims, a lot of y'all Christians and shit like that could be trying to force that shit down the throat of your children, and your children might not even want to, you know what I'm saying, use that as an objective vehicle to, you know what I'm saying, express their own spirit, but you might force it down their throat so much that they might even fucking hate you because you got the wrong priorities on your head. So it's like people just get lost in these dumbass ideas of what is supposed to be and what shouldn't be, and what's allowed and what's not allowed, to the point that you got these weird like religious denominations, you got these weird political affiliations, you got all types of like weird denominational type of energy on the political spectrum, on the entertainment spectrum, on the religious spectrum and shit like that. And if we don't get out of these things, that's just mankind being divided within its own house. So if mankind is divided internally and we're divided externally, because the only reason why, you know what I'm saying, the only reason why the shadow government is doing it is because they're trying to have people ascend, but in their way though. They're trying to have you guys expand your mind, but in their way though, from their framework. So you continue relying on it and shit like that. And you might really fulfill the prophecy that they're trying to build, aka the predictive programming. If you believe in something, you're gonna fulfill that possibility yourself. Whatever you believe in right now, you're fulfilling that possibility yourself. If you don't believe you're confident and you need some external someone to help you, you're fulfilling that prophecy yourself. So whatever you have belief in, whatever you put energy into, you're fulfilling that yourself slowly and surely. So if you keep giving energy to these religious motherfuckers, you're gonna fulfill that shit yourself. Motherfucker, it could be just like a really bad earthquake outside. A Muslim's motherfuckers might really just believe that, God damn it, today must be the day of judgment. Let me get on my knees, let me say my last super carpet magic prayer, and let me just get ready to ascend to the motherfucking heavens or hells or whatever. Really, y'all be going to the fucking hells because y'all don't know what the fuck you doing. That's the thing. So, yeah, man, it's just a lot of flunk downers and shit like that I get on rap. I be thinking in my head like, would I say be enough? But yeah, man, it's just a lot of religious people be so deeply entrenched in the shit they do. They literally believe that they shit is real. No, your shit is real to you. Like, that's about it. Don't nobody else believe in that. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody else believe in that. Like, if you're a Muslim and you believe in the concept of you need an arranged marriage, because that's the holy way, it's really because you like a charismatic gift, you like the ability to get your own, and you need a system to facilitate your seventh house, your Libra energy, how you build relationships, your marriage, your connections, how you relate to people. Since you can't do that yourself, you need a religious framework to put a female up under so she can listen to you. So whenever she doesn't listen to you, you can drop that Quran on her and be like, yeah, bitch, see what Muhammad said? You know what I'm saying? Quran, Surah 84:33. Yeah, in the name of the Prophet Muhammad, yeah, bitches should listen to me. But, motherfucker, you weak. Because you can't get that bitch to listen to you without you motherfucking making her uphold that responsibility. If you was a real man, you got a real purpose, girls would naturally want to help you facilitate that, because girls, they're looking for a purpose too. They're looking for shit to sustain too. But if you don't got your own shit, why do you think you call Allah or God the all sustainer? Bitch, that's an attribute. What the fuck you sustaining? Another motherfucker's religion. Without understanding the trait, the attribute itself that lead to the manifestation itself. With that being said, I'm gonna leave y'all. Peace out.